gays? Where are the quiet gays supposed to go?
Welcome back, everyone, to Lesbian Book Club. We talked a lot, so we are now going to be doing our second part. We had to split this up. We have refilled our coffees, refilled our waters. We went to the bathroom. We troubleshooted audio. What else did we do? We did a lot. Fixed a bunch of cords.
Well, Lauren fixed cords. I sat here and looked pretty.
You're very good at that. So it's perfect. Perfect. You sit there, look pretty. I'll fix the cords.
Lauren is a strong, independent electrician.
That's funny. I switched out a USB-C block, so it's fine. I thought that I shorted her ring light, but I didn't. It was just not working. Anyway, okay. Should we just hop right back in?
Yeah.
I don't see why not. Alex is dating Caleb.
Mm-hmm.
Catherine has asked Carlton for a divorce.
Yeah, she has.
And what is Carlton's reaction to this?
He did not take it well.
Surprise, surprise.
He is upset.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he comes with a bunch of stipulations. He basically tells Catherine, like, you know what? Fine. But if you fuck up my election run or the election for me, I'm gonna come after you for everything you have.
Mhm.
Which is like millions and hundreds of millions of dollars, probably. If not billions, from her cargo shipping, World Cargo, I think is the name of it.
Oh, I'm sure she's a billionaire.
Yeah, like Carlton doesn't actually have his own money.
No.
Like he's made money, but it's not like from his own like political gains because they're all corrupt and make their money. But Catherine actually has the money, which is we find out how this arrangement got started in the first place. But
yeah,
we'll get there.
Also, he's not smart, so like, where would the man have gotten money?
No, so we're gonna skip forward in time in the book to the NWSL championship. South Carolina is playing the Bluebells in the NWSL final. And I have to tell you, these names remind me so much of A League of Their Own. The like Peaches, the Bluebell. Don't tell me you haven't seen A League of Their Own.
I know about it.
Oh, we're gonna have to have an education.
I'm not lesbian.
You are.
I know. Here's the thing about me is that I have not seen many things. I grew up without TV.
Okay, and here's also the thing. Haley's 24, so I guess I can give her a pass.
I also have the attention span of a goldfish.
That doesn't surprise me. Okay, but for all of us who know what I'm talking about, like the Bluebells, the Peaches, the Sirens, like they just reminds me of A League of Their Own. Anyway, they win. Alex's team wins. They win the Shield. I don't know if they won League, but it says they won the championship, so I'm assuming that's the Shield. Very Gotham-esque. Shout out Allie Krieger. Did you hear Allie's interview?
Yeah, she's open to 100% of the population.
Oh, I'm so sad. I have feels about it. I mean, of course, I want her to be happy and I'll support her no matter what. It's okay, Allie. We love you no matter what. But I hope you date a woman. Yeah, after the championship, HEG puts on this big, like, party and invites all the who's who. Mm-hmm. And since South Carolina won, I'm pretty sure it's in South Carolina, which is where Senator Cleveland is from.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, and Caleb, very social climber, is looking around, seeing who is there, and who else does he spot but Senator Cleveland in the back in a private area.
Yep, like guarded by security.
Yeah.
With like another couple who we'll tell you in a minute who that is.
So he decides to go straight for him, despite Alex's protests, to please just leave it alone.
Yeah, Alex does this a lot. He never listens to her.
No. He has very little regard for her feelings, I would say.
I would agree with that. Absolutely. Yeah, he does not care. It's very social climber of him. It's very like, oh, I know this even more famous person, so I'm going to go talk to him. And it's like, first of all, y'all are supposed to keep quiet. Like, how are you going to introduce yourself? Like, first of all, is he even going to remember you? Like, he's such a lush. Like, he's not going to. But
no.
Anyway.
Yeah, and Caleb does not know that there have been all of these further interactions between Catherine and Alex.
Right.
So Alex is having this internal panic right now because she hasn't seen Catherine since she started dating Caleb.
Or yes, and she ran away.
Yeah. So she does not know if Catherine's there or not.
Mhm.
She just knows that Caleb is about to go barreling belligerent straight into Senator Cleveland. So she just stands there, unable to stop Caleb from doing this in the middle of this restaurant. And the security guard tries to stop Caleb. It's about to be really embarrassing for him, and who comes and saves him from embarrassment but Catherine Cleveland. We come to find out that Catherine had been watching this from afar, had seen Alex,
Yep.
had seen her try and stop Caleb, and decided to go and save all of them the embarrassment.
Well, because who are they sitting with?
They were sitting with the vice president of the United States,
Yeah.
weren't they? And his wife.
The former
The
VP and his
form-
wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like big high-end people, and Caleb has no, like, he can't read a room.
No social
Incapable.
awareness.
Yeah, literally cannot read a room to save his life.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was super embarrassing. I would have been, that was my partner. I would have been like,
Ugh.
oh, this is gonna be an issue. Read the room.
Ooh.
Also, how do you not recognize the former VP and be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't interrupt that?
Yeah, that's like another level of not up to current events.
Yeah. I literally wrote awkward ass dinner. Catherine left early.
Mhm.
So I think like when Caleb crashed the event or crashed the dinner, the VP and his wife were like, okay, I think it was time for us to go anyway. So Carlton just starts knocking back whiskeys with Caleb. And
Yeah.
Catherine
It's
and
like a
Alex-
challenge.
Yeah, they're like trying to one up each other.
Yeah.
It's like an old boys club thing.
Yeah.
And Catherine and Alex are like exchanging looks, and it's just so awkward. And Catherine's like, I'm just gonna excuse myself. I gotta go. And then we fast forward a little bit to the next morning. They get out of the dinner situation. Caleb is so drunk.
Mhm.
Like, Carlton is a seasoned drinker. And Caleb has so much pride and arrogance that he's like, oh, I can do that too. And he literally cannot. So he's
Yeah.
so hungover and gross. What
Mhm.
was your line that you wrote for the next morning?
Yeah. So Alex wakes up next to Caleb. Caleb is trying to, get a little touchy with her.
Mhm.
And
Ugh.
she says his morning breath was rancid at her neck. And the feel of him against her sent an involuntary shudder down her spine as she jerked away, managing to get to her feet.
She had just come back from a run, and like, I don't know if she laid down or like sat down next to the bed, but I woke him up. And yeah, he's just being gross. I literally wrote, ew, Caleb is gross, hungover, and trying to get with Alex in the morning after being a disgusting douchebag the night before. No thanks.
Mhm.
Ugh.
I just wrote gay.
Gay. Oh my God, it's so true.
The love-
Actually, like, no, you're so right, because I think this is where she really realizes it. So
Yeah.
Caleb tells her that Catherine called while she was on her run.
Mm-hmm.
And her reaction is this. She suddenly felt trapped, suffocating inside of a life of her own making. The neat little box she'd constructed herself, 4 tidy walls and a glass ceiling, where she could look up and pretend she could still reach the sky.
Pretend she could still reach the sky.
It's like you can only fool yourself for so long. Like, I really resonated with that quote because, like, I had that. Like, I was married, I was a stay-at-home mom, I had 2 kids. I mean, I have 2 kids. I'm not past tense.
Lovely, lovely people.
Oh my God, the kids. And it just, you're like, I have everything.
Yeah.
But there's that glass ceiling where you're like, no, it's fine, it's fine. But it's still a ceiling. Like, you literally cannot get out.
Mm-hmm.
And she texts Catherine to meet for coffee.
Yeah.
And this is a big shift, which I'm very excited to get into. So at this point, she's grossed out with Caleb. She can't stand him. It still takes her a little bit to figure out what to do with that situation. But I think at this point, she's like feeling more what Catherine was feeling about Alex in the beginning. Like, there's this alternative now.
Yes. And she's starting to be willing to recognize that.
Yes, exactly. And that's when we get into like the fun part of the book. The fun part and the sad part and all the parts, but
Yeah.
At least we get a little bit more truth coming.
Yeah. I wrote down something that at this coffee meeting that
Mhm.
Catherine said to Alex that is exactly with that quote that you just said
Yeah.
about this glass ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
She says, I understand, Alex, that none of this fit into your scripted, perfect plan. I understand how easy it is to make decisions based off of what you think you are supposed to do, not what you want to do. And I also know how quickly making decisions based on what others want can turn your life upside down.
I have that written down too. I like paraphrased it, basically saying making decisions for your life based on what you're supposed to do is torment.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like we talked about in the last episode where when she ran away and it felt like that voice that was not her own and she was making that decision based off of her perception of what everybody else thought that she should be doing,
yep.
not what she wanted to do and what her, her inner voice was saying. Like, love was telling her like, please follow me, please. Alex, listen.
It reminds me of Elsa. Where Elsa's like they're not necessarily Elsa, but the song Into the Unknown,
Uh-huh.
where she's like, there's this voice, do I follow it? What do I do?
Yeah.
Like, do I follow it into the unknown? I have everything I'm supposed to have. I will always make an Elsa reference. I'm so sorry. But that's exactly what
Yeah.
it made me think of. It's like
Yeah.
into the unknown. Do I follow what my heart's telling me, or do I listen to society's voices and society's rules? Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, there's a real element of fear here.
So much fear. Oh my gosh. I say I can't imagine, but I can. I've been there. Been there.
Yes, we can imagine and we will.
They're at this coffee and they end up like going for a walk, and I'm pretty sure they're in DC because they end up literally in front of the White House. I'm pretty positive. And it's coming to a head. It's coming to like are we gonna say this? What are we gonna like? What is the outcome of this situation between the two of us? Catherine says, I mean, I think this is like a pretty well-known quote. I don't think it's like Catherine who said it, but it's be who you are and say what you feel because those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind.
Yes, it's the freedom thing.
Yes, it's exactly what it is.
Yes.
And it's not even just like societal freedom, it's like internal freedom.
Yeah.
And like the people around you that actually care about you, they want to know how you feel.
Yes.
They want to adjust their actions because they care about how you feel.
Mhm.
And I think Catherine has that for Alex, and I think Alex has that for Catherine. And they're starting to flesh that out. But Alex is still so fucking scared.
Yeah.
Because Catherine literally pointedly asks her, are you happy? And Alex says, I haven't been happy since the day I met you.
Yeah.
Gut punchline. Like,
Yeah.
100%. I was like, oh God, like that's not what she's trying to communicate. But what that communicates to Catherine is like, I'm out. I'm out and not
Yeah.
going to do it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And like,
There was a grave misunderstanding that was had at this
huge misunderstanding.
point. Yeah.
It's so bad. And they don't talk for a while after this.
No, because Catherine took it as a really hurtful thing.
Yeah.
And what Alex was saying is that you have awakened something inside of me that has made me confront some big things in my life that I cannot be happy until I've done that.
Yes.
Until I've confronted them. And that's a huge undertaking.
Huge.
Yeah.
You can't force someone to reckon with their demons. You can't force someone to be what you want them to be.
No.
Even if you know it's better on the other side.
Yeah. And if you could, we both would have done it already.
We would have changed the people we wanted to change. We would have, but again, like this is Alex's journey. This is Alex's life, and Alex has to be the one to confront those things. As much as Catherine can see the other side of it, like you can't do that for another person.
No.
So
No.
after that grave misunderstanding, we get the actual story of Catherine's backstory.
Yeah.
With Natalie.
Yeah. Can I say something about something you said earlier?
Yeah.
I was talking, you were saying about Catherine when she was talking. What was the quote about like saying what you mean or what you feel?
Be who you are and say what you feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that the greatest gift that you can give somebody that you love is to be honest with them and be vulnerable with them and to ask for help and to just like bare your heart and your soul to them. And it feels like these two are having this moment with each other. And Alex is trying to do that with Catherine here when she's telling her. I mean, Catherine asks her, like, are you happy? And Alex is trying, after Catherine has said this, you know, Alex is trying to now be vulnerable with her, and it's just not communicated right or not taken the right way. And like that's so painful for a minute for them.
Yeah, and it really just launches into like more misunderstandings and but the thing is with getting Catherine's backstory, I think we can understand a lot more of where she was coming from and how this got misunderstood.
Yeah.
So like with everything that Catherine has gone through, to hear the person that she now cares about more than anything be hurt.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I can't hurt her anymore.
No.
She's like, I will back away. I will step away because the alternative is the person I love being hurt.
Yeah.
So instead of like trying to help her through it, she runs away this time.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to flash back 23 years to a little baby Catherine in England and French Natalie, who becomes a character in this book as well.
Natalie is our 20-something years ago love interest. She is kind of your classic enchanting type. She very much draws you in. She's a flirt. She feels fearless, especially when we are experiencing her from Alex's perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Background on Natalie and Catherine. So they met at university.
And Catherine was 17. I think Natalie was 18.
Yeah, it was young love.
I wrote down that it was super sneaky and hidden, but so pure and sweet and cute. The high schoolers today that are like gay, they get like so much more than we did at that age. Like they get to like go to prom with each other and like do all these sweet, cute things out in the open. When like in this time, all those sweet, cute things were happening between girls and like in like romantic relationships, but no one got to see them. So that's why I was like, oh, it's sweet and sneaky and cute.
Yeah.
Like it's, I mean, testament to how awesome it is today. But back then, and especially like in England, in the upper crust of society, things move a lot slower.
Yeah. Yeah. My first girlfriend was a secret. Yeah. I can relate. They finish university, or maybe it's the summer. Either way, they're back at Catherine's home in England. They are really sneaking around now because it's so important that they don't get caught by Catherine's dad, because he would absolutely lose a screw if he knew that this was going on. We are walking on eggshells here. They're going around the grounds, and it seems as though a lot of the grounds crew and the, I guess,
servants,
the
staff,
that are around at this estate are kind of aware. They definitely know that this is going on, but they like Catherine. They're keeping the secret for her.
Well, they've probably been staff since she was a baby. Like they probably love her. Again, like I was saying, how Catherine's family reminds me of the British royal family. Like the staff actually loves them. The staff is actually one who's going to care for her and actually see her as like a human.
Yeah. What happens when two people are in love is, sometimes you get a little bold and it gets harder and harder to sneak around all the time.
Right.
They're kind of pushing it a little bit, or I should say Natalie is pushing it a little bit. So we kind of reach this point where Natalie is spending the night in Catherine's bedroom.
And they had done this before, but Catherine was very careful to make sure that like Natalie would get up before the crack of dawn and move to a different room, or if they were where Natalie was, vice versa. In the recounting of this, Catherine does wake up just like she always did before the crack of dawn and is like, Natalie, like, I have to go. And Natalie's like, no, stay, please stay with me. and she falls back asleep.
Yeah.
So then there's a banging at the door, and it is terrifying. And both the girls like spring out of bed. The dad whips through the door and he just says, "So the rumors are true."
Mm-hmm.
And Jen Lyon, I think this is such a great capture for her. She says, she had never in her life imagined the level of hatred a man could feel for his daughter, the absolute disgust, the propensity for loathing. To me, that just like shows that that person doesn't even know how to love someone,
Yeah.
let alone his own daughter.
Yeah.
Like, he disowns her. He says, "You are no daughter of mine." And he backhands Catherine so hard that it splits her lip and she's bleeding. Natalie, being, I'm pretty sure Natalie's a fire sign. Natalie, being the fire sign that she is, springs to the defense, rushes and tries to intervene between them. And he's a big dude. And he just throws her across the room, like throws her to the floor, tells her to get out. And I think, like, as women, we can communicate so well with just looks.
Mm-hmm.
And Catherine looks at Natalie, and Natalie's looking at Catherine because Natalie doesn't want to leave. Natalie's like, "You're about to be injured here. You're already injured. I know your dad's not going to stop. I don't want to leave you." And this is very much foreshadowing another part of the book that's coming up. Catherine gives her a look and is just like, "You have to leave. If you don't, it's going to be worse for you." So Natalie ends up leaving. The dad just punches Catherine in the head, like so hard. And I think it like doesn't say if the beating continued or not, but it does say that he continually hit her for weeks following this.
Yeah.
And just the abuse, like I can see why Catherine obviously hit Natalie, but why she took the action she did for the next 20 years. This is where her dad basically set her up with Carlton and was like, "No, you're going to marry this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is good for our business. This is good for our interests. This is what you're going to do." And of course, Catherine didn't want to do it. But what other choice did she have?
Yeah, this is one of those spots where you feel very trapped. You feel like there is no other choice.
Yeah, I think this is where all Catherine's wisdom was coming from.
Yeah.
In trying to help Alex in seeing that. Like, obviously, like, Alex isn't being beaten. Like, it's not that type of safety situation. But honestly, like, the way you feel is the same.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't speak to that from, like, personal experience, but, like,
It's
the trappedness and the scaredness of it is the same.
I mean, probably not quite as intensive, like a fight or flight,
Right.
like desperate survival, but it's the same idea. Also,
Oh,
I want to point out that both these women were unclothed when this was happening, which feels very pointedly, they were incredibly vulnerable when this man came
Yeah.
in.
oh God, I can't even. It's just like another level of, again, dehumanization
Mhm.
of like, you, he didn't even see them as people.
No.
Like, the decent thing to do would be like, "Get dressed, let's talk about this." Like, but fully attack them
Yeah.
while they're naked and
Mhm.
like just waking up and like literally doing nothing wrong,
Mm-hmm.
sleeping. What a nightmare.
Yeah.
And this is like the nightmare that like followed Catherine her whole life,
Mm-hmm.
like informed every decision, everything. So after we get that story, the next chapter just opens up with Natalie and Catherine drinking tea together. Catherine describes her as a one-time lover and now longtime friend. They kept their friendship from afar for the rest of their lives. They would always meet up when they could. Carlton knows about this relationship, but like he doesn't care as long as it doesn't like impact. They're
Yeah.
not together in like a romantic sense.
Mm-mm.
They're now just really good friends. I mean, that bonds you.
And Carlton doesn't like Natalie,
No.
but he's indifferent to Catherine and therefore indifferent to Natalie.
Right. Well, he doesn't like Natalie because Natalie speaks her mind.
Exactly.
Natalie's like not going to take Carlton's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Natalie's very, very protective of
Yeah.
Catherine. I mean, how can you not be?
Right.
So, yeah, Carlton does not like her very much.
Mm-mm. While they're drinking tea, they're the kind of friends that they talk deeply with one another.
Yeah.
They're very real and straight with one another.
Yeah.
They're talking about this play. Natalie says this quote from the play: "Love sought is good, but given unsought is better."
Mhm.
That felt like a gut punch quote to me.
Uh-huh.
And then later on, she brings it up again, this play, and she says, "But come what may, I do adore thee so that danger shall seem sport, and I will go." How true, how sweet and cute and true. And this felt like such a touching little moment because when you love somebody so wholeheartedly and truly, yes, like throw caution to the wind, platonically, romantically, whatever. It doesn't matter what kind of love we're talking about here. Familiarly, like if you love somebody, I think you should always tell them. And that's what they're talking about here.
Natalie's very much like, tell Alex, like, do it. It reminds me of a Taylor Swift song, the You're Losing Me, where she's like yelling basically in the song, being like, do something, say something, risk something. If you love me, you will do it. Like there's nothing bigger. And I think there's a few other quotes in here that's basically like, or no, it was a Mary Oliver poem now that I really want to bring up. But basically talking about like you can win everything in life, but like if you don't have love, what are you winning? What's the point?
Yeah, you put that on your Instagram story the other day.
It was on my close friends. Shh. I'll share my
We cut that.
I did put that Mary. I love Mary Oliver, and that poem to me, like, I mean, I resonated with it a lot because it's like you can have everything in the world, but if you don't have love, then what is it? What's it for?
Yeah.
Who would you share with?
Yeah.
Yeah, Natalie's very much for Catherine getting what she deserves in life, and that it does include romantic love if the opportunity does present itself.
Yeah.
So Natalie makes her promise to invite Alex to her show, and Catherine agrees. Okay, we're gonna flip to Alex now, and probably a very like, if not the climax, one of the climaxes of this book. This is where we go to Alex's birthday dinner. Let me set the stage now.
Okay.
It's Alex's birthday dinner, which looks like it's gonna be in January. Here's how I got to it.
Okay, yeah. How did you do this?
Alex's birthday dinner, she got a call up for the national team
Right. Okay.
for winter camp a day before New Year's Day. So that would put us at December 30th. No, December 31st. It was New Year's Eve. She says it was a week before her birthday, which would put her birthday January 7th.
Okay.
Smack dab in Capricorn season. Alex doesn't want anything, true to her Capricorn self. She doesn't want a big party. She doesn't want anything. Caleb, again, does not listen. He sets up a fucking surprise birthday party with everyone, doesn't tell her about it. She shows up and he's just like, oh fuck. Like, and he doesn't, I mean, yeah, he invites some of her friends. He invites, Sawyer's there, Amelia's there, Halsey's there, which is funny because when I read that, I was like, Halsey's there. Oh,
Yeah.
she's a goalkeeper.
I think Amelia, Megan Rapinoe.
No, Amelia is Sam Kerr.
You think?
She's the Australian captain.
But like everything about her, like her personality and her appearance just screams Rapinoe.
Okay, you're probably so right because as soon as she said Australian, I was immediately like, oh, it's Sam Kerr, and I didn't think about
I think
it.
she was just trying to like throw us off the scent.
So right. It is totally Megan Rapinoe. Okay, well now I have to like rethink myself. Okay, so yes, so Megan Rapinoe's there. Sawyer's there. Lots of just, teammates and friends. But Caleb is inept, first of all. Second of all, he makes everything about him.
Yeah, this party is not about Alex.
It's not. HEG people are there, like bigwigs in suits are there. It's clearly not for Alex. If he had listened to Alex, they would have done a small little thing.
First of all, he's live streaming this. He has somebody following them around with a phone live streaming, okay?
Ugh.
She's like, please, no, please. And he's just ignoring. Okay. Caleb gets everyone's attention. And he pulls out a USA jersey. There has been no official call up. She told him, like, in confidence, that she had gotten a call saying that she's being considered to go to winter camp, she's going to winter camp to be considered a spot.
Right.
She's not been offered a spot
Right.
on the women's national team. Like, everybody being put on blast that, like, oh, here she is, she's on the women's national team, that looks bad for her.
Yeah, and it's being recorded.
Yeah.
And she's also like not an influencer, but she's a soccer star.
Yeah.
So she has a following, and he's live streaming this,
Mm-hmm.
not recording it.
Yeah.
Live streaming it.
Imagine her humiliation in this moment. Okay. Anyway, back to this. So
The humiliation will continue.
yeah. So he pulls out this USA jersey. She's already thinking, oh no. Well, then he says, the name Gray is just far too short, too unremarkable
Unremarkable.
to wear on a jersey representing the USA.
Ah.
And he flips it around and it says Anderson on the back, which is his last name, which, oh my God.
How presumptuous.
Yes, and he has not put in a single ounce of the work to be on this team, but she has put all of it in. It's hurting. Oh my God. Okay, anyway, Alex, lose his number. Okay, goodbye. So he pulled his hand out of his pocket and dropped to a knee in front of her. I feel compelled to change that. He gets on his knee. He proposes. She runs away.
In this case, good for her.
Yeah, as our girl Alex does.
The levels of humiliation that she must be feeling, even when she didn't do anything wrong. First, the party she's not expecting. Then the cameras following her everywhere. Then the jersey. And then the proposal. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. On top of this, she has like not been feeling attracted to him at all. She's been irritated by him. She's been feeling unseen by him. He's been acting like an absolute dick to her. He just thinks, oh, this girl wants to marry me.
That's what I was gonna say. Again, he cannot read a fucking room.
Yeah.
Like, I literally wrote, the audacity to propose to someone that has shown no interest in wanting to marry you. Like, who do you think you are, Carlton Cleveland? So she runs away.
Yeah,
runs to the
he
bathroom.
goes to the bathroom.
Mm.
Sawyer follows her there. And then he comes a knocking. Okay, he comes and tries to bust in, actually. And so Amelia steps in and is like, bro, can't you tell that when a girl goes to the women's room, she doesn't want a man to follow her in there?
Right. A belligerent man.
Yeah.
Like, he has been drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's belligerent. He's oh God. This is literally giving the same energy that the dad, what we just heard with Catherine.
Mm-hmm.
It's like giving her the same core memory.
Yeah.
So when Amelia, Amelia a la Megan Rapinoe is like stepping in, standing up while Sawyer's like comforting her, Caleb goes off on Amelia. He calls her a pathetic dyke.
Mm-hmm.
And let's not even take into account like the disgusting slur coming out of a man's mouth to call a woman a dyke.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that the three women in the bathroom are literally all dykes, like it's one thing for us to call each other that as like a term of endearment.
Yeah.
But a man may never call a woman that.
No.
And the fact that the woman that he proposed to is going through this like internal battle with her sexuality, and then to see how this man who's been her best friend and now supposed to be her partner, how he feels about that.
Yeah. This is like a much more extreme version of watching how your partner treats waiters at a restaurant.
Oh my God. Yeah, exactly. Ugh, just disgusting. And at that point, that is when a security guard steps in and is like, bro, you gotta go. The bouncer literally like throws him out. And the good thing about this is his friend did him so dirty. His friend's still live streaming this.
Mm-hmm.
So the fallout via social media.
Yeah, it says the viral video that followed, ensuing in endless, tasteless jokes, circulating memes, TikTok commentary, and her name trending on Twitter for all the wrong reasons, had threatened the collapse of her spiraling mental psyche.
Poor Alex.
Which, honestly, that feels so real living in LA. Not even the same level, but like, I feel so much for influencers. When I went through my breakup with a sort of public soccer figure, it was not like a public breakup. It was not dramatic. It was, like, we are on good terms. I had fan pages following me that like relentlessly messaged me for months and months and months and were like,
Jesus.
where is so and so? Why aren't you posting with so and so? Blah blah blah. And so that was like with no publicity.
Right.
That was with like we kept our life pretty private.
Right.
And so just imagining that turned up to like
The nth
1,000
degree,
degrees
yeah.
higher, and she is like already been humiliated by him, and now she's not only losing her partner, she's losing her lifelong best friend.
Yeah.
She also feels like he's turned into a completely different person in front of her eyes. This has also maybe threatened her job, her lifelong dream that she's worked so hard for, the spot on the women's national team roster.
Yeah.
I also want to point out the way that she responded to him insulting Amelia.
Mm-hmm.
We see, I think, some growth here because she is no longer standing for that. I think that if somebody would have insulted Sawyer, say at the beginning of this book, she would have been very timid and not known what to do.
I think she would have brushed it under the rug. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, it's just him, he didn't mean it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this time it's like, oh, no, absolutely. Like, she did not talk to him. She did not call him back. She was like, oh, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah, I think that she is getting a backbone. And I think almost in the same way that Alex is sort of helping set Catherine free,
Right.
I think that Catherine is helping Alex grow stronger.
Yeah, stand up for herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I totally
Yeah.
agree. The video has 7 million views in 2 weeks. And Natalie is just all too quick to tell Catherine about this. There's this gala coming up, and this is the one that Natalie really wants Alex to be invited to. And while they're talking about it, Natalie's like, "You saw what happened, right?" And Catherine's like one of those people who's like not on the internet.
No, yeah.
And she's like, "No, like, what are you talking about?" Natalie's like, "Oh, they're not together anymore." Like, she's
like, shoot your shot, girl.
all the time. We now know that Catherine's aware of what's going on, and Catherine doesn't know, do I reach out to Alex? Do I, like, what do I do? I hope she comes to the gala. She's invited her. Alex hasn't responded. It's like this whole little back and forth. And in the meantime, Alex and Amelia, again, not Sam Kerr, Megan Rapinoe, are getting really close. Everyone is on Alex's side. Like, you can't look at that video and be like, oh, Caleb was just whatever. Like, no. He literally, first of all, alienated the entire NWSL crowd by calling someone a dyke.
Mhm.
Like, you will never be forgiven. So sorry. You can do whatever apology tour you want. But everyone's on her side. And then after she addresses it, lo and behold, who shows up at her apartment?
Catherine.
Catherine shows right up.
Sneaky little surprise.
And Amelia's there. And Amelia was not at the bar at the sports bar. So, like, Sawyer knows who Catherine is.
Yeah.
But Amelia does not. Alex is really insistent that, like, she can't. So Catherine's like, can you please come to this gala? Amelia leaves. I mean, they, like, stay in, like, housing that's, like, all one apartment for the team. Amelia's like, I'm gonna go back to my apartment. I'm gonna let you guys, like, do whatever it is you guys are gonna do. And Catherine's like, please come. And, you know, she's like, no, I'm not going to. I mean, she's very overwhelmed. She has a lot of training to do. But I wrote down that the second Catherine touches Alex's shirt and says, please come on Saturday, Alex is like, what time?
She broke the touch barrier.
Yeah, she touched her, and that was the end of that. So they go to this gala. It's pretty uneventful, except, like, Catherine and Alex the whole time are like, oh, when can we leave? Natalie's there. There's a bunch of galas coming up, so just be forewarned. But they go back. This is where Alex, again, backbone and some game. So they're playing cards, and they're trying to determine who goes first. And Natalie's like, okay, I think the prettiest should go first. And Alex literally goes, oh, well, then I guess that honor goes to Catherine.
In that case, thumbing through the deck with agile fingers.
I mean, okay, lesbians and fingers. Fingers are hot. I'll definitely look at fingers.
Catherine felt her cheeks colored.
You should be made to blush at least once a week.
Sorry, Catherine, I can't relate. I blush every day. I blush all the time because I'm not cool. I have never been cool in my life.
I was gonna defend you, but I'm like, you're sweet. I'm not cool either. We're just two uncool lesbians trying to have a podcast. Oh, okay, so wait, hold on. This is the quote. This is the quote that I was thinking that Natalie had said that I couldn't get to, and then I went to Mary Oliver. But Catherine and Natalie are talking, and she says, maybe I'm French, but there's only one happiness in life, to love and be loved. I used to call myself a hopeless romantic, but now I'm like, I saw this thing on TikTok where it's like, you're not hopeless. You're a hopeful romantic. You know that the type of love that you want exists because you exist. I love that. So I'm not a hopeless romantic, but the romantic in me was like, I totally believe that. The world sucks. The world is terrible. The
Mm.
things going on right now. And only like the only thing that I think like counteracts that is love, whether it's romantic, platonic, familial, friendship, like that's the only thing that makes things worth living. I
Yeah.
couldn't get through the hard things that I've gone through without love.
No.
And if you cut yourself off from that, like what are you doing?
I think especially community.
Yes, we're big fans of community over
We
here.
are.
We're gonna make our own little community with this podcast too. Maybe I'll do some
Yeah.
in-person meetups and all sorts of fun stuff as
Yeah.
we grow. Natalie is also, I think, very big into that as well. Just very much of the equation of love as much as you can, and really telling Catherine, like, this girl's into you, can go for it.
Yeah.
So that's Natalie's position through the whole thing. Can we get to chapter 40?
Yes.
Because
yeah.
yeah. Well, we got another fleeing situation, but at least this time it was after a little something. So Alex is, I think, out on the balcony, comes back in, and now I think the ball is in Alex's court to change the dynamic of the relationship because
Yeah.
Catherine has taken a step back. Catherine's like, I'm not gonna get involved with this girl if I'm just going to hurt her. So I wrote that up. Alex has become so forward and confident, and Alex actually kisses Catherine. And again, I think she does get scared because she does flee. And I just wrote a big LOL. Like, God damn it, Alex. Like, you're so close. You're so close to being like there and like present, but like you're still scared, which is like understandable, of course.
Well, and Alex told Catherine, I want you to invite me back, Catherine. There was no vacillation to her tone, no uncertainty in her gaze. I want to come back. And then that caught Catherine off guard because she was assertive.
I know. And you cannot catch Catherine Cleveland off guard.
No, it's impossible, but she did it. And in their first kiss, I noted that just before they kissed, Catherine was aware of the pulse in Alex's fingertips.
Yeah.
The lesbian obsession with hands is real.
So then, after their first kiss and Alex fleeing, they decide to go to Half Moon Bay together. Which, have you been?
No.
Oh, I have. It's so romantic. It's so cute. I love it. Basically, here's where we get to the like saucy parts, which are very fun to read, and I highly recommend you do. And it's so cute because I feel like maybe we've all been in this situation, but like when you haven't like been with a woman before, and so that's Alex, right? And Alex literally, they're like kissing and whatnot, and it starts to like move further. Alex literally looks at Catherine and says, "Show me." And I was like, and that's like Alex coming out of her shell too, which is like really fun to see.
Yeah. Gosh. And in this experience,
Yeah.
Alex is thinking, but in this moment, she was finally certain those who would object, citing God's law as evidence, were entirely wrong.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't immoral. This wasn't sinful. It was merely human. It was nothing more than love. Love of another. Yeah.
When this is what it feels like it obviously cannot be immoral or bad. Like there's no way. Like whatever you want to say about God and things like that, like it wouldn't make sense for this to be wrong. Oh, so they have a great weekend. So Alex had asked Catherine if she had ever been in love when they were playing that little 3-question game back at the bar, the Buena Vista Cafe. Catherine asked the same thing, and Alex had told her no, she hadn't been in love. When they're doing having this weekend together, Alex said she knew with certainty what she told Catherine that night at the Buena Vista Cafe had been true. She has never been in love, not remotely, if it was meant to feel anything like this. With Caleb, it had been a chore, a necessity, a function dictated by the requirements of a relationship. Nothing more. It hadn't been this. Yeah. And I don't know about you, because you came out when you were much younger than I did, or I was, but yeah, it feels so different. I feel exactly what Alex was saying here because you're like, oh, like this is what it is. Got it. Okay.
Mhm.
It's not like what I've read about, but like those are poets. So this just must be what it is. But then when I fell in love with a woman, I was like, oh, this is what the poets are talking about.
Yeah.
Like, not like to consider myself a little bit of a poet, but I think Alex just instinctually knew, like, oh, this is what love is. This is what love is to me. And it just made so much more sense. Like, it's like the world comes together and it just makes sense. Okay, we're getting to the end here. I'm so excited. So they have this great weekend, and Alex is kind of under the impression that this is all it's going to be. It's just going to be this weekend. It's going to end in goodbye. And Catherine kind of like, I wrote down, Catherine's like, you're so silly. You're so silly. Like, this is what I want. But they have to keep it a secret. This was really hard for me to read. I'm not a fan of secret relationships, but I understand why. I think also, especially with like same sex partnerships and relationships, like sometimes you do have to keep it a secret, whether it's for safety, whether it's for, I mean, there's a million different reasons. It's not fair, but like I think it's understandable, but it doesn't necessarily make it okay for the people involved.
Right.
In this case, they both are kind of on the same page. Like Catherine has to keep it a secret because Carlton's going to come after her if they find out about this.
Yeah.
His election is fucked up. Like it's going to be a bad thing. And then also the HEG contract for Alex.
Yeah.
So they both agree to keep it a secret. And it's just they start talking about when we're going to see each other, and it's just a lot of like not pining, but like we're going to miss each other.
Mhm.
This is going to be like a hard road to toe, but we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And they don't have a ton of contact when they leave Half Moon Bay, which I feel like could be really distressing on both ends.
If you are an anxiously attached person like myself,
I've done a lot of work. I've done a lot of work, and I would say I am just to the left of secure, but I definitely came from a very anxiously attached. Yeah, that's me.
if you or someone you love struggle with abandonment issues,
Maybe call this number.
yeah, do not do what Catherine and Alex are doing.
Oof, God.
The meltdowns I would have.
Oh my God. The meltdowns I've had where I'm like, this is my brain being so mean to me.
Bro, I have been laying next to somebody in bed and they have fallen asleep first. And I'm like, they hate me.
Yep.
They fell asleep first because
They didn't want to talk to me anymore. I think the definition of like anxiously attached is, are you mad at me? You looked at me. Please just tell me you're not mad at me. Are you sure you're not mad at me?
Yeah.
Okay. What about now? So they have to go their own ways. Alex is going back into preseason training. Catherine has to go beyond the election cycle road. And we come to another gala. And this gala is quite climactic as well. It's like the yearly gala that Catherine hosts. And Alex brings Amelia because Amelia's like, how'd you get an invite to this gala?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, you can come with me. This is also when Amelia realizes, like, oh, Catherine, that's who came to the apartment. Natalie's also there. And Natalie very much likes Amelia.
oh yeah.
They're like both just like, I feel like they're both just like hot headed. Like, well, Megan Rapinoe, I believe, is a Cancer. But Natalie, such a fire sign. Amelia, I feel like either an air sign or a fire sign.
It's like that impulsive
Like
chemistry.
Yeah, attraction.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
And they're drawn to each other, which is fun. That's a fun little side.
Mhm.
They hook up, which is hilarious. But conflict is like on the menu for this gala because Carlton's there.
Hope you're hungry.
So it's actually very reminiscent, in my opinion, of what happened with Caleb at the birthday party.
Mhm.
So Amelia, Alex, Catherine, and I think Natalie, I think they're all standing there. Maybe not Natalie, because Natalie, I feel like, wouldn't have let this happen. Carlton, like, recognizes Alex and is like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, again? Like, why are you always fucking here? And gets really mad at Alex at this gala in the middle of everyone. And he's also drunk. And threatens Alex. And is just like, he's like in her face. I just imagine like a red-faced, sloshed, sweaty man. And it's like, that's actually like really scary to be around, let alone it like just being disgusting and horrible. But Catherine then has to threaten Carlton to get him to leave. And it's just this like freaking mess. It's such a mess. And Amelia, this I thought was interesting because Amelia calls out Alex and is like, you're a pushover on and off the field.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit. Like, you have to be really good friends with someone to
Yes.
call someone out like that.
Yes.
Because Alex didn't say anything. She just played peacemaker, didn't really stand up for herself again. She let Catherine do it, which I mean, like, I understand. But at the same time, like, I don't know. Amelia also doesn't know all the dynamics going on. But
True. I feel like had I been in Alex's shoes, I would have been so. I don't get mad very easy.
Yeah.
But what it takes for me to get mad is a man that is mean to someone I love, and that will just push me over the
it
edge.
flips the switch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, you know what's funny about that is how Natalie sees Catherine. Because Natalie, I'm going to skip a little bit forward and then we'll go back. But she says, so this is Alex, or I'm sorry, this is Natalie talking about Catherine. In business, she was indomitable. She would battle for her company, her employee, her friends, but she had never been good at fighting for herself. And I think Catherine and Alex, and I think as women, that's kind of ingrained in us,
Yeah.
is like, don't stick up for yourself. I don't want to, and obviously I'm not speaking for all women, but like, it's much easier to fight for someone else
Yes.
than to fight for yourself.
Yes.
And I think that is the position Alex was in. And Catherine isn't fighting for herself in this instance. She's fighting for Alex.
It's like when you are at a restaurant and you like really want ketchup and you don't ask, and then your friend is like, oh, I wish we had ketchup, and all of a sudden you're like, I will go ask for
Yes.
ketchup.
Exactly. I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll do it because it's not for you anymore. It's for someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very much like a servant nature, but like servant nature is fine, but it can't be self-sacrificing.
Mm-hmm.
So this all blows up. Alex and Catherine find themselves alone. And basically, Catherine's like, come to my hotel with me, please. Like, we can get away. I can slip away. We'll just get away from this nightmare. They head to Catherine's hotel. Catherine says, if you try to make sense of everything that happens in life, you will spend the majority of it seeking resolutions that will never exist.
Yes.
And it's just a lot of this is just back and forth of like, how do we move forward? How do we do this? How do we be together but fulfill all of our obligations? And it's just coming to a head, which makes sense because we're getting to the end of the book. And basically Catherine's like, please just wait for me. Please wait for me. Like, I promise it won't be like this forever. And yeah, Carlton's a dick. And
Yeah. Which is such a big ask because that's basically a promise that, yes, I will figure this out and you are what's on the other side of this for me.
right.
And I'm 100% certain of that.
And I think they both believe it.
Yeah.
I think they're both ready to like believe it. And then they have this big intimate conversation and they have sex. I mean, obviously, like, once you've had like lesbian sex, you're like, whenever, we're gonna be together. Anyway, but this is a very scary part. And again, trigger warning for just like domestic violence here. There's another bang at the door. And it's Carlton. And it's literally the same exact scene with her father.
Yeah, so Carlton comes in first before she lets him in because he doesn't actually have access to this room without being let in, which is a little bit of a difference here. And so they have time to get dressed and for Alex to go sit at the table. Catherine lets Carlton in. He is, first of all, mad that Alex is there.
Yeah.
And so Catherine asks Alex to, go ahead and get...
Carlton makes her
that's right.
excuse Alex. And
That's right.
he's so belligerent. He, like, in front of Alex says, like, you're going to play the games that I tell you to play. And then, like, realizes she's there and is like, she needs to leave. So Alex leaves. Again, it's those same, like, eye contact, like, do I leave? Do you want me to leave? And Catherine's like, yes, like, it'll be better if you just leave.
Yeah.
So she tells her to go wait at the bar downstairs.
Carlton, first, another trigger warning, he gets Catherine up against the window, which is overlooking where everybody is coming back from the party into the lobby.
grabs her arm and she says that she's already like he grabbed her so hard that she's already losing feeling in her fingers.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he makes an attempt to sexually assault her. And she is able to get out of it. But immediately after this, he absolutely beats her, and she is left a bloody mess. Her face is
Yeah.
completely unrecognizable and swollen, and she spent this entire time thinking that he might actually kill her.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And she's not wrong to think that because like I think about this quote in Practical Magic with Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman, and Nicole Kidman says, "If a man hits me, he only does it once." That's always played in my head. Luckily, I have never been in that situation. But the thing is, like, if a man does hit you, he's not going to stop.
Mhm.
It's not going to be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Like, it's not going to stop. And he didn't just hit her, like you said. He beat her. Her, I think in the next chapter we learned like her eye was literally swollen shut. This took like an hour and a half. This was like a long time that he was in there with her, and he ends it by saying, like, looking down over her, like towering over her, and says, "You brought this on yourself." Like, there's really like not even anything to say, but oh God, like I get it. I'm like, I'm not gonna cry because it's so heart wrenching, especially because we've fallen in love with this character. Like,
Yeah.
and so to like, I was not prepared. I was like, oh, she's gonna get hit. Like, I was prepared for that, but then when he like pushed her up against the glass window, I was like, oh, I don't know if I can read this. I don't think I can read it. And I'm so glad that she didn't write it in a way that made it triggering. I didn't feel like it was very triggering. But yeah, it was awful. So he leaves, and who does Catherine call?
Natalie.
Natalie,
Mhm.
her just longtime friend. And Natalie comes immediately, like leaves Amelia because they were like on the rooftop hooking up, and like puts Amelia in a car and's like, "You gotta go, sorry." And she rushes to Natalie. Like Natalie cleans her up, but then Natalie also goes down to the bar to where Alex is and is like, "You gotta go home."
Mhm.
And Alex actually feels really used and humiliated. She's like, she couldn't come tell me herself. And
Mhm.
Catherine obviously told Natalie, like, don't tell her what happened.
Mhm.
Because I think Alex would have tossed everything to the wayside.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like, she would like, fuck my soccer career, fuck everything. We're going nuclear.
Mhm. So Catherine is in her room, having just been beaten by Carlton, and her chest heaved against the pressure of her staggering breath, a sob escaping her lips. And she finally let go of her control and allowed herself to feel the heartache of her anguish, her tears coming unchecked, racking her body through the painful release of her despair. It was cathartic, cleansing, the liberation of anger and frustration, hurt and sadness that had built up over the years. And somewhere amongst her sorrow, she felt Natalie reach for her, wrapping her in her arms, pulling her to her, and holding her as she wept, carrying her through the darkest hours of her life.
Oh, which, like, Natalie is the perfect person to be there
Yeah.
for this. Like, I really am going to cry because it's so sad.
Yeah.
And Natalie is like the best friend you could have right now. Like, she does give Catherine a little bit of a speech, which I don't know if I completely agree with, but I can understand. She's like kind of saying, "You are letting this happen." To be honest, like Catherine is allowing it. She's not like stepping out of it. And that's where that quote came from that I read earlier about how, like, in business, she'd battle for everything, her friends, she'd battle, but for herself, she just like couldn't do it. And it's like, I understand. Like, when you're in your formative years, your dad hated you.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to then stand up to somebody who is exactly the same as him. You just feel so powerless. But Natalie also does something that's really important. And I think like a lot of domestic abuse survivors would like tell you, but Natalie documented her injuries.
Yes.
Natalie started taking photos. And I mean, Catherine was protesting, like, no, like, don't do that. Like, why would you do that? And she's like, no, because if he kills you, I want proof.
Yeah.
And he will kill her.
Mhm.
Like, if she doesn't get away, the next step is killing her.
Yeah.
There's nothing more to say.
Yeah.
Um,
Like it's a fluke that she didn't
yeah.
tie
Like,
this down.
literally, I think the only thing that stopped Carlton from killing her was his election.
Also, that Alex knew that he went in that room.
Yeah, witnesses.
Yeah.
And there's witnesses outside the door this whole time. We didn't talk about it, but like Carlton had men come up with him that just like stood outside the door.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's just such a structural culture of like, you know, that people call it rape culture, whatever you want to call it. But like, did these men not know what was going to happen? Like, of course, like, and then did nothing to stop it. Like, oh, it's a domestic dispute. Like, it's a person
Mm-hmm.
who's getting the shit beat out of her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where is the protection? And Catherine said for the first time in her life, she felt entirely defeated. And I think honestly, having Natalie there, she was able to be vulnerable enough to feel defeated. And Natalie just like
Yeah.
held her the whole night.
Yeah.
And Catherine cried and cried and cried. And Natalie just held her. And it's just like, it's beautiful, but it's sad,
Mm-hmm.
like all in the same breath.
Everybody needs a Natalie for them.
We're done, I think, with the trigger warnings. If ever anyone needs a break, please feel free. We're going to move on to the next part of the book, which starts with Alex at the U.S. Women's National Team training camp, which is they are training for the She Believes Cup. I really loved all the real life soccer things
Mhm.
that Jen Lyon put into this.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this is so fun. Like, I know, I mean, we're literally in January camp right now. Like,
Yeah.
right before. And we have the Gold Cup coming up. And then I think we're still doing the She Believes Cup. I think it just got moved back a little bit. Or
Yeah, everybody's getting their call-ups.
yeah.
Yeah.
Becky Sauerbrunn is back.
She is.
My captain. Take that armband. Back. Let's talk about what goes on at training camp. Who's there? Who comes? What's
Yeah.
going on?
Sawyer's there.
Mhm. Halsey's there.
Halsey's there. Alex hadn't heard from Catherine since this event went down, since the meeting. And
Yep.
she got sent away, and she still does not know what happened to Catherine that night. So in her mind, she's still feeling used and upset. She still thinks that, like, oh, Catherine just brought me here to her hotel room and then sent me away with no explanation.
Yeah.
And then has not contacted me.
Yeah.
So
I think it's been 12 days. And I think that's going to be important for some things coming up. About 12 days. Just a decent amount of time
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of different things you want to calculate things on. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah.
But Alex also hasn't heard from Caleb
Right.
since this whole debacle. This is a pretty short time span because, I mean, this is January camp and her birthday is January 7th. So, like, it's the end of January for this camp now. So it's only been about 3-4 weeks where, you know, the proposal happens, Half Moon Bay happens, and now this attack on Catherine's happened, and now she's at camp. So very short amount of time.
Right. And Caleb has called her a lot and a lot and a lot, but she has just decided to ignore. But yeah, so she is working really hard. I mean, she's exhausted. It's just like work, 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 work. At training camp, one of her teammates lets her know she has a visitor. And she goes out, and it's Caleb.
Ugh.
Yeah.
The disappointment she felt at not seeing Catherine and seeing Caleb.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, hilarity ensues from this point because literally, Caleb just thought they were on a break this whole time. He was like, oh, we're still together. We're just like taking our space.
Clueless. He then is like, what? What do you mean we're not getting back together? And she's like, I don't want that, Caleb. And then he's like, oh, was there someone else? And then she's like, yeah, actually. And he goes, well then goodbye forever. And then walks away dramatically, and that's that.
Yep. Which good riddance. Bye. That's great. I'm glad Alex stood up for herself and was like, actually, you know what? I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to appease someone else's emotions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say, yeah, there is someone else. He doesn't even ask. He, like, literally has turned into this person. Like, I would be thinking if I was Alex, like, did he ever care? Ever? Or was I just nothing? Like, God, that sucks.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, like, he is so very much not her best friend anymore.
He's lost sight of her. He doesn't even know who she is anymore. If he did, he would have seen his change. If he even knew her at all, he probably would have known she was gay at some point.
Yes.
Like, come on.
Yes.
So then Alex gets a call. Oh no, Alex calls Catherine.
Yes, she does.
She's like, you know what? I've figured it out with Caleb. I'm done there. Now I need to put this into place. And again, she's still at training camp, so it's just a whole thing. And she confronts her about that night, and she's like, I can't tell you like on the phone. Like I'm coming to Colorado. We'll go to dinner.
Mm-hmm.
So this was fun for me because I like called it what was gonna happen. I was like, they can't just like go to dinner in the city that they're training in. I was like, I bet you Catherine's got a helicopter. I bet she's gonna fly her somewhere. What's that? I knew it was a helicopter, which is so fun. Which is like so like this. Can see this being like a cinematic masterpiece. Like
Yeah.
the fight in front of the White House, the helicopter to Vail because they're in Colorado. And okay, so Catherine and Alex go to Vail, and Alex notices the marks on Catherine's face. And I think here is like she's finally putting it together.
Yep.
But she doesn't say anything right at dinner. Sure, like when they were together before they get to their hotel room, go back to the hotel room. And this is when Alex is like, what the fuck happened? Like, can you just tell me? And Catherine is kind of like, what do you need me to say? Like, do I really need to spell it out for you what happened?
I think it was a big wake up for Alex of like, oh, I cannot assume things here.
Yeah.
And then I also think it was a big wake up for Catherine because she had to be like, I need to put aside, I think she had a little bit of pride too. I think it was like, aside from this fear of, okay, how is Alex going to react? I also think it was a little bit of pride involved. And I think she also needed to realize I need to communicate with her because I have hurt her
Yeah.
by not communicating, even though I had this, terrible, horrible thing going on.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think it's like a good turning point in the relationship where it's like, not that Catherine endured that beating for Alex, but like, it's like, we've done it all.
Yeah.
And Alex agrees to go to New York with Catherine.
Mm-hmm.
They go back to New York together. In New York, Catherine notices that there's like this man following them.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of Carlton's guys.
Mm-hmm. What a
And-
goon.
Oh, such a goon. That's exactly the right word for him. But Catherine also has now like full-time security. Like Carlton is not going to get next to her. Like it's just not going to happen. The guy's name is Malcolm.
Malcolm.
Not Scott. He is Scottish. I don't know. I just call him Scott. But he goes everywhere with Catherine. Alex makes the roster for the She Believes Cup. So it's like her first cap, which is so exciting. And Catherine's at that game. This is like where our book ends. Catherine's at the game. They have some fun soccer banter with her and Malcolm because he's a Scot and she's a Brit. And so obviously rivals there. And he says, I imagine certain interests make you a turncoat tonight, ma'am, because they're playing each other."
Yes.
And it's so cute. And like she makes her debut and Catherine's in the stand. That's like kind of where the book ends. Is like just
Mm-hmm.
they get to witness and delight like in each other at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a very sweet moment that I was like, yep. Yeah.
Like this is good. This is good.
Yeah. She knew Alex was looking for her eyes scanning the section that she told her she'd be in. And when she found her, she paused on the sideline, a slow, knowing smile spreading to her lips.
So cute. So there are 2 more books in this trilogy, which I was so excited to find out because I was like, wait, we didn't what about the marriage? What about like everything? Like, what are we gonna do? So Haley and I are definitely gonna be covering those in upcoming episodes. I'm so excited. So yeah, we're definitely gonna do the next 2 books.
Yes.
I cannot wait to read them.
Me neither.
Now we're gonna get into their star signs. Haley is gonna do her best.
Yes, I am.
We're gonna just go for it. Again, I think this is a book of earth signs. I got Capricorn for Catherine and Capricorn for Alex. Although I don't think Alex acts like a Capricorn. I think Catherine, with her business building, her emotions close to her chest, her desire to protect everyone around her, like that's a Capricorn. Alex to me is like timid, and I don't find Capricorns timid. So for Alex, even though she is canonically a Capricorn, I think she's definitely a water sign. So that would be Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. I think she's a Cancer. I think Alex would be a Cancer. Very just like sweet, innocent, lots of emotions that come and like bubble up over the surface. And also, Cancer and Capricorn are sister signs, so they vibe well together. Man, Haley, we're gonna have to educate you before these next episodes so we can. I want to make you go on TikTok and like read things so that you can be helpful in this discussion.
Well, here's the thing. I know deeply what me and all my exes are.
Okay, okay. Well, does Alex remind you of any of your exes in any way?
No, Alex reminds me more of myself than anybody else.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
You have a Sagittarius moon. Okay, I'm trying to think. I really want to know what your rising is because I bet it's a water sign. Or you could have like a Libra rising. That wouldn't surprise me. Caleb, I think, is an annoying ass Aries. Fire sign, bullheaded. Oh, that could be Taurus, but he doesn't strike me as an earth sign. And I think Natalie is also a fire sign, but I think that Natalie is more of like a Leo. I mean, she's a star performer.
Yeah.
Leos are the sun. And so I definitely think Natalie is a Leo. And a Leo and a Capricorn, they're like my favorite little pairing. I always say this, but I'm like, as a Capricorn, you get me around a Leo and I just want to watch. I'm like, I need a ticket to that show. And they are just the show. And I'm like, you just let me know when you want me to clap. And I will clap for you. I'm interested to see how their characters like flesh out. Like, I'm really interested to see how Catherine and Carlton's divorce goes down. Ooh,
Mhm.
Carlton. Ooh, I wonder what his sign would be.
I feel like all the men are the Aries.
I know I
Yeah.
think you're right because they
Yeah.
are so stereotypical, like the same,
Yeah.
that, yeah.
There's not enough differential between any of them to be any different. you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
No, for sure. Just such fire, chaos,
Mhm.
not thinking before acting. Yeah, 100%. Okay,
Mhm.
look at you. You're learning.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Our next book is going to be A People's History of Heaven. And honestly, I feel like it's a Little Women of India. I think it follows 5 women. I'll read a little bit. In the tight-knit community known as Heaven, a ramshackle slum hidden between luxury high-rises in Bangalore, India, 5 girls on the cusp of womanhood forge an unbreakable bond. Muslim, Christian, Hindu, queer and straight, cis and trans, they are full of life and they love and accept one another unconditionally, determined to transcend their surroundings. So I will have another guest host with me, and then I'm going to bring Haley back, and we're going to do the second episode or the second book.
Raise the roof.
I'm so excited. Thank you guys for listening.